Kang Do-hyun pushed his mop across the cold floor of the Global Defense Coalition building. The water was dirty and gray. His back hurt from bending all day. But he did not complain. He never complained. Complaining made things worse. He was 26 years old. He worked as a janitor in the biggest military building in Seoul. Important people walked past him every day. Generals with medals on their chests. Scientists with tablets in their hands. Politicians with expensive suits and fake smiles. None of them ever looked at him. To them, he was invisible. Just another cleaning man with a mop and a bucket. Do-hyun was used to being invisible. He had been invisible his whole life. The fluorescent lights above him buzzed loudly. The hallway was empty now. Most workers had gone home hours ago. Do-hyun liked working late. Fewer people meant fewer problems. Fewer chances for someone to remind him of his failures. He stopped mopping and looked out the large window. The night sky was clear. Stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across black cloth. Somewhere out there, aliens were traveling toward Earth, the Volanthi Empire. Everyone was talking about them. They had conquered half the galaxy. They destroyed entire planets. And now they wanted to meet with humanity. The news called it a diplomatic visit. But everyone knew the truth. The Volanthi were coming to show their power, to remind Earth how small and weak it was. Humanity had nothing to offer beings who could travel between stars. Do-hyun turned away from the window and continued mopping. The door at the end of the hallway opened. 3 men walked through, laughing loudly. Do-hyun recognized them immediately. His co-workers from the janitorial service. Park Ji-seok was in front. He was the shift supervisor. A tall man with a cruel smile and small eyes that always looked for weakness. Do-hyun's stomach tightened. He kept his head down and mopped faster. "Hey, Do-hyun!" Ji-seok's voice echoed through the empty hallway. "Working late again? What a dedicated employee you are." The other 2 men laughed. Their names were Byung-ho and Taeyang. They always followed Ji-seok like loyal dogs. Do-hyun did not respond. He kept mopping. Ji-seok walked closer. His shoes clicked against the wet floor. He stopped right in front of Do-hyun, blocking his path. "I heard something interesting today," Ji-seok said. His voice was sweet like poison. "My cousin works at the military academy. He told me a funny story about a young man who cried during basic training. Cried like a little baby during the first combat drill. Can you imagine?" Byung-ho and Taeyang laughed louder. Do-hyun's hands tightened around the mop handle. His knuckles turned white. "That young man dropped out," Ji-seok continued. "Couldn't handle it. Too weak. Too broken in the head. Anxiety. Depression. All those fancy words for being pathetic." He leaned closer to Do-hyun's face. "That young man was you, wasn't it?" Do-hyun said nothing. His jaw was clenched tight, his teeth hurt. "Look at me when I talk to you," Ji-seok demanded. Slowly, Do-hyun raised his eyes. He looked at Ji-seok's face. At the cruelty there. At the pleasure Ji-seok took from hurting others. "There we go," Ji-seok smiled. "At least you can follow simple orders. Too bad you couldn't do that in the military." "Leave me alone," Do-hyun said quietly. His voice was barely a whisper. "What was that?" Ji-seok cupped his ear dramatically. "I couldn't hear you." "Speak up, little mouse." "I said leave me alone." Ji-seok's smile disappeared. His eyes turned cold. "Don't forget your place, Do-hyun. You're nothing. A failure. A dropout. You mop floors for a living. The only reason you have this job is because nobody else wanted it." He grabbed the mop from Do-hyun's hands and threw it across the hallway. It clattered loudly against the wall. "Clean that up," Ji-seok ordered. He turned and walked away, Byung-ho and Taeyang following behind him. Their laughter echoed long after they were gone. Do-yoon stood alone in the empty hallway. His hands were shaking. His eyes burned with tears he refused to let fall. He walked slowly to pick up the mop. His footsteps felt heavy, like he was walking through mud. What Ji-seok said was true. All of it. Do-yoon had joined the military academy at 19. His father had been a soldier. His grandfather had been a soldier. It was tradition. It was expected. But Do-yoon was not like them. On his first day of combat training, something happened. Something he could never explain. When the drill instructor shouted orders and the other trainees charged forward, Do-yoon froze. His vision went dark. Strange images flooded his mind. Purple skies. Burning ships. A voice speaking in a language he had never heard, but somehow understood. When he came back to himself, he was on the ground. His face was wet with tears. Everyone was staring at him. The instructor was yelling. The other trainees were whispering. He left the academy 3 days later. The doctors said it was anxiety. Panic attacks. They gave him pills that made him feel like a ghost. They gave him therapy sessions where he talked about his feelings to strangers who nodded and wrote notes. But they never explained the visions. The dreams that came every night. The purple skies. The burning ships. The voice stopped the woman. Do-yoon picked up the mop and continued cleaning. His body moved automatically while his mind wandered far away. That night, he returned to his small apartment. It was barely big enough for his bed and a small table. The walls were thin. He could hear his neighbors arguing through them. The ceiling had a water stain shaped like a butterfly. He ate instant noodles for dinner. The same meal he ate every night. He could not afford anything better. After eating, he lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. The butterfly stains seemed to move in the dim light. His eyes grew heavy. Sleep pulled him down like hands dragging him underwater. The dream came. He was standing in a field of silver grass. 2 moons hung in the purple sky above. Stars burned bright enough to see during the day. The air smelled like flowers that did not exist on Earth. And she was there, the woman from all his dreams. She stood before him like a goddess made of shadow and starlight. Her skin was dark like polished obsidian. Her hair was silver white and floated around her head as if she was underwater. Her eyes burned gold like twin suns. She was impossibly tall. Impossibly beautiful. Impossibly real. She reached out her hand toward him. Her fingers were long and elegant. Her nails were sharp like claws. Soon, she said. Her voice echoed inside his head. You will understand soon. The bond between us cannot be denied. I have searched for you across 100 worlds. I have followed your soul through 1,000 lifetimes. Do-yoon tried to speak, but no words came out. He tried to move, but his body would not obey. Do not be afraid, she continued. Her golden eyes softened. You are not weak. You have never been weak. What they see as failure is simply your soul remembering. Remembering me. Remembering us. Remembering what you truly are. She took a step closer. Then another. She was close enough to touch now. Her hand cupped his cheek. Her palm was warm against his skin. 3 days, she whispered. In 3 days, I will find you. And everything will change. Do-yoon woke up gasping for air. His heart pounded like a drum. Sweat covered his body. The morning sun was shining through his tiny window. He sat up in bed and looked at his shaking hands. The alien delegation was arriving in 3 days, for the first time in his life. Do-yoon wondered if his dreams were more than just dreams. The day arrived faster than anyone expected. The whole world watched the sky. Every television channel showed the same thing. Every phone notification said the same words. The Volanthi are here. Do-yoon stood at a service corridor window on the 3rd floor of the Coalition building. He should not have been there. His shift had ended hours ago. He had no reason to stay, but something pulled him forward. An invisible force tugged at his chest like a rope tied around his heart. Below him, the reception plaza was filled with important people. Generals in their best uniforms, politicians from every country, scientists with nervous faces, reporters with cameras, security guards with guns they hoped they would never use. The sky turned dark, even though it was noon. A shadow fell across the city. Do-hyun looked up, and his breath caught in his throat. The Volante warship was enormous. It descended through the clouds like a falling moon. Its surface was black and smooth like polished stone. Strange lights pulsed across its body in patterns that hurt to look at. It made no sound. That was the most terrifying part. Something that big should have been loud. But it moved in perfect silence like a ghost made of metal. The ship stopped above the plaza. It hung in the air without engines or wings. Just hung there, breaking every law of physics that humans understood. A beam of light shot down from the ship. It touched the ground and formed a circle of white fire. Shapes appeared in the light. Figures walking down as if descending invisible stairs. The first figure to step onto Earth's soil was surrounded by warriors. They were tall and dark-skinned with silver hair. Their armor looked like it was grown, not made. Their weapons hummed with energy that crackled like lightning. But the warriors were not. What made everyone freeze? She was Supreme Warlord Calith of the 3rd Volante Legion, stood in the center of her guards. She was taller than all of them. 7 feet of power and grace packed into a body that looked human but was clearly something more. Her skin was black like the space between stars. Her hair was white like fresh snow and floated gently around her head. Her eyes burned gold and seemed to see everything at once. She wore armor of dark metal that hugged her body like a second skin. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface. A cloak of deep purple hung from her shoulders and moved even when there was no wind on. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was exactly like the woman from Do-hyun's dreams. His heart stopped. Then it started beating so fast he thought it might explode. Below, General Baek Sung-ho stepped forward. He was the leader of the coalition forces. A decorated hero. A man who had never shown fear in his life. But even from the 3rd floor, Do-hyun could see his hands shaking slightly. Supreme Warlord Calith, General Baek said loudly. His voice was carried by microphones to the crowd and beyond. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we welcome you. We are deeply honored by your presence. Calith looked at him. Just looked. She did not speak. She did not move. Her golden eyes swept across the assembled humans with an expression of cold disinterest. As if she was looking at insects. As if nothing here was worth her attention. Do-hyun watched from above. His palms were pressed flat against the window glass. His breath made fog appear and disappear with each exhale. Then Calith stopped. Her eyes lifted. Up, past the crowd. Past the security barriers. Past the military guards and the politicians and the reporters. Up to the 3rd floor. Up to the small window where a janitor stood watching. Their eyes met. The world disappeared. There was no crowd. No ship. No city. Just Do-hyun and Calith connected by an invisible line that stretched between them. He felt something click inside his chest. Like a key turning in a lock that had been closed his entire life. Calith moved. Her warriors tensed. The human guards reached for their weapons. People in the crowd stepped back in fear. But Calith was not attacking. She was walking. Walking with purpose toward the coalition building. Supreme Warlord? General Baek's voice cracked with confusion. Is something wrong? Have we offended you in some way? She did not answer. She did not even look at him. She walked past the crowd like they were furniture. Her warriors followed close behind, their hands on their weapons. She entered the building. Do-hyun stood frozen at the window. His legs would not move. His mind was screaming at him to run, to hide. This could not be real. This could not be happening. She could not be coming for him, but she was. He heard footsteps. Many footsteps. They grew louder and louder. The door at the end of the corridor burst open. Volante warriors poured through, taking positions on both sides. Their golden eyes scanned for threats. Then she appeared. Keleth walked into the corridor. She moved like water, like smoke, like something that existed outside of time. She stopped 10 feet away from Do-hyun and studied his face. Her golden eyes traced every line and curve. Her head tilted slightly to the side. Do-hyun realized he was still holding his mop. His dirty uniform was wrinkled. His hair was messy. He smelled like floor cleaner and sweat. He was the most pathetic thing in the galaxy to stand before an empress. He tried to speak, but the words died in his throat. Keleth smiled. It was a small smile, gentle, warm. Nothing like the cold expression she had shown the crowd below. Slowly, she extended her hand toward him. Her palm faced up. Her fingers were long and elegant. An invitation. "I have searched for you across 100 worlds," she said. Her voice was deep and musical, like bells ringing in a distant temple. "I have followed the thread of our bond through empty space and burning suns. Kangdo Universe, my soul recognized yours before I knew your name." Do-hyun's mop clattered to the floor. He did not remember dropping it behind Keleth. The human delegation had finally caught up. General Beak pushed through the door, his face red with confusion and fear. Other officials crowded behind him. Security guards looked helplessly at a situation their training had never prepared them for. What is the meaning of this? General Beak demanded. His voice shook with barely controlled panic. "That man is... he's nobody. He's a janitor. A cleaning man." Keleth's expression changed. The warmth disappeared. Cold fury replaced it. She turned her head slowly toward the general. Her golden eyes blazed with power that made the air feel thick. "This man," she said, her voice sharp as any blade, "carries the mark of the eternal bond. He is Kethre, my fated mate, chosen by the stars themselves before either of us was born." She paused. Her words dropped like stones into still water. "And you will address him with the respect owed to my equal, or I will remove your tongue and feed it to my war beasts." The corridor was silent. No one breathed. No one moved. Do-hyun looked past Keleth and saw familiar faces in the crowd of human officials. Park Ji-seok stood among the security personnel. His mouth hung open. His face had gone white as paper. His small eyes were wide with disbelief. The man who had called Do-hyun pathetic. The man who had thrown his mop. The man who had laughed at his failures and reminded him daily that he was nothing. That man was now looking at Do-hyun like he was seeing him for the first time. Keleth turned back to Do-hyun. Her expression softened again. She still held out her hand. "I do not ask you to understand," she said quietly. "Not yet. But I ask you to trust what you feel. The connection between us is real. It has always been real. Will you take my hand, Do-hyun? Will you let me show you who you truly are?" Do-hyun looked at her hand, then at her face, then at the crowd of shocked humans behind her. His whole life, he had been told he was nothing. A failure. A dropout. A mistake. But when he looked into Keleth's golden eyes, he saw something different. He saw himself reflected there. Not as the broken man the world saw, but as something more. Something worth searching 100 worlds to find. He reached out and took her. Her fingers closed around his. Warm, strong, right. And in that moment, everything changed. The next few days were like living inside a hurricane. Everything moved too fast. Everyone wanted something from Do-hyun. Questions came at him from every direction like bullets. He was moved from his tiny apartment to the most secure suite in the coalition headquarters. The room was bigger than his entire old home. It had soft beds with silk sheets. It had windows that looked out over the city. It had guards at every door who bowed their heads when he walked past. Do-hyun did not know how to handle any of it. Scientists came with strange machines. They scanned his body and took his blood. They measured his brain waves and checked his heart rate. They wrote notes on tablets and whispered to each other in words he did not understand. Diplomats came with questions. Why you? How did she find you? What does this mean for Earth? What does she want from humanity? Do-hyun could not answer them. He did not know the answers himself. Politicians came with requests. Can you speak to her for us? Can you convince her to share their technology? Can you make sure they do not destroy us? They smiled at him now, these powerful people. They called him sir and offered him coffee. The same kind of people who would have walked past him without looking when he was just a janitor. But Caliph would not let anyone speak with Do-hyun alone. She was always there, standing in the corner of the room, sitting beside him at the table, her golden eyes watching everyone who came close. The HFY bond is sacred, she told the human leaders during one meeting. Her voice was calm but carried a warning beneath it. It is not a political tool for you to use. It is not a resource for you to exploit. It transcends politics. It transcends species. It transcends even death. We mean no disrespect, General Beek said carefully. We simply want to understand, then understand this. Caliph leaned forward in her chair. My people have searched for millennia to explain the HFY bond. All we know is that it cannot be manufactured. It cannot be broken. It cannot be ignored. When two souls are bonded, they will find each other across any distance, across any time, across any barrier. And you're certain he is the one? Another official asked. This man? Are you absolutely sure? Calitha's eyes flashed dangerously. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Question me again, she said softly, and your planet will learn the limits of my patience. No one questioned her again. When they were alone, Caliph was different. The cold mask fell away. Her voice became gentle. Her movements became soft. She looked at Do-hyun not like an object to be studied, but like something precious to be protected. They sat together in his new quarters. Night had fallen outside. The city lights twinkled below like a mirror of the stars above. Do-hyun had so many questions that he did not know where to start. You do not remember, Caliph said. It was not a question. The dreams showed you fragments, pieces of the truth, but not everything. I remember a woman in my dreams, Do-hyun admitted. I remember purple skies and silver grass. I remember a voice speaking to me, but I thought they were just dreams. I thought my mind was broken. Your mind was never broken. Caliph reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm against his. What you felt was the bond trying to wake up. Your soul remembering what your mind had forgotten. Remembering what? Caliph was quiet for a long moment. She looked out the window at the stars. A reflection in the glass showed an expression Do-hyun had never seen from her before. Sadness. Deep, old sadness. We have lived before, she finally said. Many times. Different bodies. Different worlds. Different names. But always finding each other. Always drawn together like two stars orbiting the same point in space. Do-hyun shook his head. That's impossible. I'm just a human. I'm just a human. You are not just anything. Caliph turned to face him fully. Do you know what humans are, Do-hyun? Your species is young. You have barely left your own planet. Most of the galaxy sees you as children. But my people see something different. What do you see? Potential. Her golden eyes seem to glow brighter. Humans have a fire inside them that other species lost long ago. A stubbornness. A refusal to accept what is. You dream of what could be, and then you make it real. That fire is what draws souls like yours to be born on Earth. Old souls. Powerful souls. Souls that have lived 1,000 lives and still want to experience more. She placed her hand over his heart. Do-Yoon could feel his pulse beating against her palm. In our last life, Keleth continued, her voice dropping to barely a whisper, you were born on my world. You were a warrior, a leader, the bravest soul I have ever known. Her voice cracked slightly. And you sacrificed yourself to save my people. You walked into death with your eyes open so that I might live. Tears rolled down Keleth's cheeks. The fearsome warlord who had made generals tremble was crying. Do-Yoon did not know what to do. He did not know what to say. All he could do was watch. I have spent this entire existence searching for you, she said. I conquered worlds not for power, but because each conquest let me search further. I built an empire not for glory, but because I needed the resources to find you. And now, she laughed through her tears. Now I find you mopping floors, living in a tiny room, being mocked by small men who cannot see what you truly are. Do-Yoon's head began to throb. Memories flickered behind his eyes like scenes from a movie he had forgotten watching. He saw battles in the darkness of space. He saw planets burning. He saw himself standing beside Keleth, both of them covered in blood and ash, laughing because they were alive. I see it, he gasped. I see. I remember. The memories came faster. A lifetime of war. A lifetime of love. A promise made under 3 moons. A sacrifice made in fire. Pain exploded behind his eyes. He cried out and grabbed his head. The world spun around him. Keleth caught him before he fell. She held him close, her arms strong and steady. Let it come, she whispered in his ear. Do not fight it. The memories are returning. Your soul is waking up. Do-Yoon saw himself in another body. Taller, stronger, blue skin and silver eyes. He wore armor like Keleth's. He carried a sword that burned with white fire. He was standing on the bridge of a ship. Alarms were screaming. The enemy fleet was everywhere. There's no way out, someone was saying. We're surrounded. But he was smiling. He was looking at Keleth. Younger Keleth. Before she became Warlord. Before she conquered half the galaxy. She was crying and begging him not to do what they both knew he was going to do. I'll find you again, he said. I always find you, no matter how many lives it takes. Then he walked toward the enemy alone, one man against an army, and he bought enough time for her to escape. The memory faded. Do-Yoon found himself back in the present, lying in Keleth's arms. His face was wet with tears. He did not remember crying. That was real, he breathed. That was me. That was you, Keleth confirmed. She stroked his hair gently. The bravest soul in any galaxy. The man who loved me enough to die for me. And now you are here again. Alive. Whole. Found. Do-Yoon looked up at her face. At the tears still drying on her dark cheeks. At the love shining in her golden eyes. Love that had survived death itself. I'm not that man anymore, he said. I'm weak. I couldn't even finish military training. I mop floors for a living. Keleth smiled. It was the warmest smile he had ever seen. You are exactly that man, she said. You have always been that man? The only difference is that now you remember. She kissed his forehead. I do not ask you to love me now. The feelings will come when your memories are complete. I only ask for the chance to remind you of who you truly are. Do-hyun closed his eyes. He let himself rest in her arms. For the first time in his life, he felt safe. He felt whole. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Outside the window, the stars twinkled their ancient light. Somewhere among them was Keleth's empire. Somewhere was a throne waiting for a queen and her chosen mate. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, Do-hyun just wanted to remember. News of the HFY bond spread like fire across dry grass. Every country on Earth knew within hours. Every planet in the Volanthi Empire knew within days. Kang Do-hyun, a human janitor from Seoul, was the fated mate of Supreme Warlord Keleth. The most powerful being in the known galaxy had chosen a man who cleaned floors for a living. Some people celebrated. They saw it as proof that humanity was special, that even the mightiest empire in the stars could find something valuable on Earth. They called Do-hyun a hero. They printed his face on magazines. They made songs about the janitor who captured an alien queen's heart. But not everyone was happy. Commander Tarek arrived on Earth 1 week after Keleth announced her bond. He came on a warship almost as large as Keleth's own. He came with 300 warriors in his back. He came with anger burning in his silver eyes. Tarek was Keleth's second in command. He had served beside her for 50 years. He had helped her conquer 100 worlds. He had expected to be her mate one day. The HFY bond was supposed to be a myth, a children's story, not something real that could steal his future. The challenge was issued in the Great Hall of the Coalition building. Humans and Volanthi stood on opposite sides of the room. Tension filled the air like electricity before a storm. "I invoke the right of contestation," Tarek announced. His voice boomed through the chamber. He was huge, even for a Volanthi. 8 feet of muscle and fury wrapped in battle armor. Scars covered his face like a map of the wars he had survived. By ancient law, any warrior may challenge a HFY claim if they believe the chosen mate is unworthy. The Volanthi warriors murmured among themselves. The human officials looked confused and afraid. Keleth stepped forward. Her golden eyes blazed with cold rage. "You dare challenge what the stars have chosen?" "I dare speak the truth." Tarek pointed at Do-hyun, who stood behind Keleth. "Look at him. A human. The weakest species in the galaxy. He has no combat training, no military record, no achievements of any kind. He dropped out of his own people's warrior academy because he was too afraid to fight." The words hit Do-hyun like punches. He felt the eyes of everyone in the room turn toward him, judging him, seeing the failure that Tarek described. "He mops floors," Tarek continued. His voice dripped with disgust. "He cleans toilets. He is nothing but a servant. And you would make him equal to our warlord? You would place him above warriors who have bled for this empire? The bond is sacred," Keleth said through clenched teeth. "It cannot be questioned. The bond can be contested." Tarek smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "By ancient law, I challenge Kang Do-hyun to ritual combat. If he wins, the bond stands. If he loses, he forfeits his life and his claim to you forever." Gasps filled the room. The human officials began shouting protests. General Beek stepped forward with raised hands. "This is murder," he declared. "You cannot expect an untrained human to fight one of your warriors. We will not allow it." "You have no authority here," Tarek replied calmly. "This is Volanthi law. If the human refuses to fight, he admits his unworthiness. The bond becomes void. And if your warlord tries to fight in his place, she shamas herself before the entire empire." Keleth's fists were clenched so tight that her knuckles cracked. Her body trembled with barely controlled fury. But she did not attack. She could not. Tarek had trapped her with her own people's laws. "I'll do it." Everyone turned to look at Do-hyun. He had spoken without thinking. The words had left his mouth before his brain could stop them. Keleth grabbed his arm. No, he will kill you. Maybe. Do-hyun looked into her golden eyes. He saw fear there. Fear for him. The most powerful being in the galaxy was afraid because she might lose him. But you said I was brave in my past lives. You said I faced an army alone. Maybe it's time I remembered how to be brave. The hall fell silent. Tarak studied Do-hyun with new interest. The human officials stared with open mouths. Even the Volanti warriors seemed surprised. Keleth's grip on his arm tightened. Do-hyun, please. I just found you. I cannot lose you again. You won't. He placed his hand over hers. I don't know why I'm sure of that. But I am. Trust me? Tears formed in Keleth's eyes. But slowly, reluctantly, she nodded. The challenge is accepted, she announced, her voice steady despite her fear. The combat will take place tomorrow at sunset. That night, Keleth came to Do-hyun's quarters. She carried 2 swords made of strange metal that glowed faintly in the dark. I cannot teach you to fight in one night, she said. But I can teach you something more important. She placed her hand over his heart. The Lanthi do not fight with just our bodies. We fight with our Vither, our life force, the energy that exists in all living things. Humans have it too. You have just forgotten how to use it. How do I remember? Close your eyes. Keleth's voice became soft. Do not think about the fight. Do not think about Tarak. Think about nothing. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath. Feel the blood moving through your veins. Do-hyun obeyed. He closed his eyes. He focused on his body, his heart, his lungs, the rhythm of life that never stopped. Now go deeper, Keleth whispered. Past the physical, past the mental. Find the place where your soul lives. The place where your past lives are stored. The place where you are connected to me. It took time. Minutes stretched into hours. Do-hyun's legs ached from standing still. His mind kept wandering, but he kept trying. He kept searching Dot, and then he found it. A spark. Tiny and bright. Hidden deep inside him like a diamond buried in coal. It pulsed with warmth. It felt familiar. It felt like coming home. There, Keleth breathed. You found your Vither. You found your Vither. Now let it grow. Let it fill you. The spark expanded. It spread through Do-hyun's body like fire through dry wood. His skin tingled. His muscles hummed. He felt stronger than he ever had before. When he opened his eyes, they glowed faintly gold. Keleth smiled through her tears. There you are. The man I remember. The arena was built in the plaza outside the Coalition building. Thousands of people watched from behind barriers. Millions more watched on screens around the world. The fight between a human janitor and an alien warrior would be seen by everyone. Do-hyun stood on one side of the arena. He wore simple clothes. He held a sword that felt too heavy in his hands. His heart pounded with fear. Tarak stood on the other side. He wore full battle armor. He held a plasma blade that hummed with deadly energy. His face showed absolute confidence. Any last words, human? Tarak called out. Do-hyun closed his eyes. He reached inside himself. He found the spark of Vither and let it grow. Warmth spread through his body. Memories flashed behind his eyes. Battles he had fought in other lives. Skills he had learned across centuries. When he opened his eyes, they burned with golden light. Yeah, he said. Try not to die too quickly. Tarak laughed and charged forward. The fight was brutal. Tarak was faster than any human. His blade moved in blurs that the eye could barely follow. Any normal person would have died in the first second. But Do-hyun was not normal anymore. His body moved without thought. Vither guided him where instinct could not. He dodged left, He ducked right. He deflected strikes that should have cut him in half. The crowd gasped with each near miss. Tarek grew frustrated. His attacks became wilder, stronger, more desperate. Stand still and die with honor. No thanks, Do-hyun replied. He slipped under a massive swing and landed his first hit. A shallow cut across Tarek's arm. Small but meaningful. The Volanthi warriors watching went silent. A human had drawn first blood. Tarek roared with rage. He attacked with everything he had. The arena shook with the force of his blows. Do-hyun's arms ached from blocking. His legs burned from constant movement. But he did not fall. The fight lasted 7 minutes. It felt like 7 hours. By the end, both fighters were exhausted. Both were bleeding from multiple wounds. But only one was still standing strong. Do-hyun stood over Tarek's fallen body. His borrowed sword pointed at the warrior's throat. I don't want to kill you, he said quietly. You were protecting what you believed in. I understand that. The arena was completely silent. Every eye watched. Every breath was held. Slowly, Tarek lowered his weapon. Then, to the shock of everyone watching, he dropped to one knee. Kethre confirmed, he rasped. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. The stars chose truly. I was wrong. The Volanthi warriors began to kneel. One by one, row by row. 300 warriors, bowing to a human janitor who had proven his worth. Caliph ran across the arena. She crashed into Do-hyun with a hug that nearly knocked him over. She was crying and laughing at the same time. You did it, she whispered into his ear. You impossible, wonderful man. You did it. Do-hyun held her tight. Over her shoulder, he saw the faces in the crowd. Human faces filled with pride. Volanthi faces filled with respect. And somewhere among them, he saw Park Ji-seok. His former tormentor was not mocking anymore. He was not laughing or sneering. He was watching with something new in his eyes. Do-hyun smiled and turned his attention back to Keleth. The past did not matter anymore. Only the future mattered now. And what a future it would be. 6 months passed faster than Do-hyun could believe. 6 months of learning. 6 months of growing. 6 months of becoming someone new while remembering who he had always been. He stood on the bridge of Keleth's flagship, watching Earth shrink in the view screen. The blue planet grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star among millions. His home, his world. The place where he'd been born as Kang Do-hyun. He was leaving it behind. Having second thoughts? Keleth asked. She moved to stand beside him. Her hand found his and their fingers intertwined naturally. No, Do-hyun shook his head. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. It was true. The 6 months had changed everything. His memories had fully awakened now. Hundreds of lifetimes existed inside his head. He remembered being a warrior, a scholar, a king, a beggar, a saint, and a sinner. He remembered dying and being born again. He remembered finding Keleth in each life, loving her, losing her, and searching for her all over again. The man who had mopped floors and souls still existed inside him. But he was no longer just that man. He was also the hero who had saved Keleth's world. He was the strategist who had won impossible battles. He was the lover who had made promises under alien moons. He was whole. Earth had changed too during these 6 months. Humanity was no longer seen as a primitive species to be conquered or ignored. They were the people of the Kethre, the species that had produced the chosen mate of the greatest warlord in the galaxy. Keleth had made sure of that. She had signed treaties that protected Earth from any Volanthi aggression. She had shared technology that would advance human science by centuries. She had declared that any insult to humanity was an insult to her personally. The galaxy had taken notice, but she had also given Do-hyun a choice. She made this very clear from the beginning. You can stay on Earth, she had told him one night. Live a quiet life. I will visit when my duties allow. The bond between us does not require you to leave everything you know. What's the other option? Come with me. Her golden eyes had glowed in the darkness. Learn to lead beside me. Help me build a galaxy where bonds like ours are honored instead of exploited. Be my partner in all things. My equal. My love. It was not an easy choice. Earth was his home. His family was here. His entire human life was here. To leave meant becoming something more than human. Something different. Something he could never take back. But when he looked at Keleth, the choice became clear. She had searched for him across 100 worlds. She had built an empire just to find him. She had waited lifetimes for this moment. How could he say no to a love like that? I'll come with you, he had said. Wherever you go. Whatever happens. I'm yours. She had cried. The fearsome warlord who made emperors tremble had cried like a child in his arms. And in that moment, Do-hyun knew he had made the right choice. Now they stood together on her ship, watching the stars stretch into lines as they jumped to hyperspace. Earth disappeared in a flash of light. A new chapter began. The council is nervous, Keleth said. Her thumb traced circles on the back of his hand. A human has never held authority in the Empire. They do not know what to expect from you. Then they'll learn something new. She laughed. It was a beautiful sound, like wind chimes made of crystal. This is why the stars chose you, Do-hyun. Humans do not accept what is. You insist on what could be. You dream impossible dreams and then make them real. I learned from the best. He squeezed her hand. You conquered half a galaxy looking for me. That's pretty impossible, too. Only half, she smiled. We'll conquer the rest together. Before leaving Earth, Do-hyun had tied up loose ends. He had visited his parents and explained as much as he could. They had cried. They had hugged him. They had told him they were proud, even though they did not fully understand. My son, his mother had said, holding his face in her wrinkled hands. My son is going to the stars. I'll come back to visit, Do-hyun had promised. As often as I can. You better, his father had grumbled. But there were tears in his eyes too. He had also visited his old workplace. One last time. Just to see it. Just to remember where he had started. The corridor was exactly as he remembered. Same cold floor. Same buzzing lights. Same mop bucket in the corner. Nothing had changed here, even though everything had changed for him. I thought I might find you here. Do-hyun turned. Park Ji-seok stood at the end of the corridor. He looked different now. Smaller somehow. Less confident. His eyes could not quite meet Do-hyun's gaze. Ji-seok. Do-hyun kept his voice neutral. He did not feel anger anymore. He did not feel anything toward this man except a distant kind of pity. I wanted to... Ji-seok stopped. Started again. I came to say I'm sorry. For everything I said. Everything I did. The way I treated you. Do-hyun said nothing. He just waited. I was jealous, Ji-seok continued. His voice was barely above a whisper. My whole life I've been angry at the world. Angry that I wasn't good enough. Angry that I was stuck in a dead-end job with no future. And when I saw you, someone even more pathetic than me, I felt better about myself. I know that's terrible. I know it's wrong. But it's the truth. He finally looked up. His eyes were wet. You didn't deserve any of it. You were just trying to survive, same as me. And I made your life harder because I was too weak to face my own problems. Do-hyun considered him for a long moment. 6 months ago, he would have dreamed of this moment. The chance to see his tormentor broken and ashamed. The chance for revenge, but he was not that man anymore. Too many lifetimes existed inside him now. Too much wisdom. Too much understanding that hurt people, and the cycle only ended when someone chose to end it. He extended his hand. Jisiok stared at it like it might bite him. Hurt people, Do-hyun said. I understand that now. I hope you find what you're looking for, Jisiok. I hope you find peace. Slowly, Jisiok reached out and shook his hand. His grip was weak. His fingers trembled. But something in his eyes shifted. Some weight lifted from his shoulders. Thank you, he whispered. Do-hyun nodded once, then turned and walked away. He did not look back. Some doors needed to close before new ones could open. Now, standing among the stars with Caliph by his side, Do-hyun felt the last chains of his old life fall away. He was free, truly free. Free to be who he was always meant to be. What are you thinking? Caliph asked softly. I'm thinking about all the lives we've lived together. All the times we found each other. All the times we lost each other. He turned to face her fully. And I'm thinking that I'm grateful. For all of it. Even the painful parts. Because they all led here. To this moment. To you. Caliph's golden eyes shimmered with emotion. The Valanthi have a saying. Thurik Valanther. It means that love is the gravity that holds the universe together. Without it, everything would fly apart into nothing. I like that. Do-hyun smiled. It sounds true. It is true. She cupped his face in her hands. Her palms were warm against his skin. You are my gravity, Kang Do-hyun. You hold my universe together. In this life and all the ones before. In all the lives still to come. She kissed him. Soft at first. Then deeper. A promise sealed with touch. A bond confirmed with breath. When they finally separated, the view screen showed their destination appearing in the distance. A planet of purple skies and silver grass. 2 moons hung above an ancient city. The heart of the Valanthi Empire. Welcome home, Caliph said. Do-hyun looked at the alien world before him. So different from Earth. So strange and beautiful and terrifying. And yet somehow, impossibly, it felt familiar. Because home was not a place. Home was the person standing beside you. Home was the love that found you across lifetimes. Home was wherever your soul felt complete. I am home, he said. The ship descended toward the purple skies. 2 figures stood on the bridge, hand in hand, facing whatever came next together. Behind them, the stars twinkled their eternal light, watching, approving, celebrating a love that had conquered death itself. And somewhere in the universe, a voice whispered words that Do-hyun finally understood. You are enough. You have always been enough. And now, at last, you know it too. The end.